Let's go ahead and call this public meeting to order, if you don't mind. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody for taking time to come here tonight. I've been notified, but maybe some of our council may be just a little bit late because it's at 5 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. The process to this is I'm going to open up. Ember, if you don't mind coming up here, I want to say thank you to Ember and all the people who got involved. I know Ember met with a lot of y'all already and discussed the budget, but this is a public meeting, so Ember, if you don't mind, I'm going to open up questions, if you don't mind. Yes. If you have, here, wait a minute, I'll wait for Ms. Robinson to come on in. Thank you, ma'am. So if you don't mind, I'm going to look for questions. Anybody raise their hand, and then we'll take it at an orderly possession to go by. So who's first? Anybody? Ms. Robinson, you can take your time. Here you go. We just hit the gavel. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Ember? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Ginn, you first.
Let's talk about the 911 upgrade. I think it's on page 12. The employees for 911 are having an upgrade. Is that correct? Across the board for that group?
Yes, on page 12, like you mentioned, if you look at the salaries, they increased a little over 100,000, and that's because just with the current climate, it's hard to retain staff in our communications center. So we talked with Leonard Montgomery about this and HR, and it was really time to evaluate those positions, and we upgraded every position one level that will go into effect if this budget is passed.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson. Yes. Hang on.
My question regarding police.
Page number.
26.
Okay, regarding the police budget, I know that we're building the Justice Building, and we're scheduled to open shortly. My question is, I notice in the police budget, there's something that says rental. So if we're building the Justice Building, why is rentals necessary? What is that about, rentals?
So I talked to Chief Tessing, and there are some facilities that we will not close, even with the addition of the Justice Center. For instance, our Rose City substation. So we will still have a few rentals that we'll be responsible for.
Okay, that makes sense, because the people out my way, they do not want you to close that Rose City substation. So, makes sense. Thank you.
And that was one of the things we talked about too. There was 2 or 3 substations that we need them still open, so that was one of them for sure. So, anybody else, please? Charlie Height, Mr. Height.
My question is for code enforcement.
Page. What page?
28.
Where's our code enforcement? Not here? Is Felicia here?
I don't know. Don't see her. Supposed to be, but I don't see her.
I can do my best to answer.
Well, my question really is, are we fully staffed at code, or are we a position or two short?
Betty, if you don't mind, Betty could probably answer that.
To my knowledge, we're fully staffed. Is there a certain position that you're inquiring about?
At one time, we were short, I think,
We fill those positions.
but we brought it up to par.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Debbie, Ms. Ross.
Okay, under special appropriations, there's a few things that if we could just kind of explain these.
Page?
On page 9.
Page 9.
Okay, the Arkansas Regional Hub is going from $125,000 to $225,000. That's a $100,000 increase. So can we just kind of explain that?
Yes, that increase of 100,000 is for their mobile maker unit that they want to take out to the schools. In the past, that has been grant funded. That grant is no longer in place. So these funds are going to go strictly to that, where they can still keep this program in the schools and free to those students.
Okay, so is that high school, elementary school, or do we
Miss-
know how many
Miss Tanger,
times?
she's here with you if you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she
Erin,
just kind of
can you come up,
explain,
please?
explain that to us.
Yeah, please.
I mean, if it's for the students and children, I'm all for it.
By the way,
Question.
congratulations on bringing our new recipient over here, Winrock, so thank you, good job with that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Happy to do it. So thanks for that question. So the good news is that the mobile makerspace unit covers K through 12. So this will be free for all those students.
And where will that go? To all parts of our city?
It does. It's going to, I've met with all the principals. It's going to go to every North Little Rock school. So we'll be able to go on site and offer it for free, the program.
Can you kind of just tell us a few things that they'll be doing?
Yeah, so this unit brings, of course, the STEAM opportunities that we offer include robotics, engineering, screen printing, pottery, coding, all that kind of stuff that we teach. So we're able to take that on the road, and each child receives a STEAM kit as well, so hands-on while we're in the classroom. We bring the 3D printers, the laser cutters with us on the road and teach that in the class.
Great. So our students will be exposed to things they've never seen before.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
That
you
was
so
the question.
much.
Okay, the next question is on Thea. It's been increased by 22,000. So is there someone here to,
There was not anyone able to be here tonight, but per their request that they sent in, that is towards youth programs as well. I pulled their application.
and Mary, I know one of the things that I've spoke with you about too, and I mentioned this last year, and I mention this every time, is that, you know, our downtown, we've done so much with our downtown right now, but then we have,
Darks.
they're not empty buildings, but we've got buildings that are not available for anything, any reason to come downtown. Let me just put it that way. And so that was one of the things, if Thea could do something as far as maybe, you know, on weekends, having it open, you know, art gallery. I love senior student art. There's a lot of things that they could do to give more people things to look at when they do come downtown.
And I agree with you 100% on that. Like I say, the Northern Lights was the other night. What do we have, approximately 3,000 people in the downtown area?
At least.
And that came, and then also they went to the Simmons Arena. I think, without a doubt, we look at our History Commission, we do the Friday night, or it used to be third weekend for the art walk.
Right.
We need to institute those more, so I'm going to look at Thea, the Innovation Hub, maybe. Could you do anything with that, Aaron, possibly opening that up to some more activity in the nighttime? Not that you're on Main Street, but if you're getting that big old, we'll talk, okay? But that's what I thought, so. So I like bringing people from our high schools and all parts of our city back downtown. I think it's a good idea what Ms. Ross came up with. Try to keep these dark buildings, make them a little more light at times. And so we'll be leaning on these people to do something more in that area. I agree. Just got to, but again, it has to be, we have to reach out to them.
Right, all right, okay.
In fact, I was talking to David at one time, let's get our animals back down here. But we're doing so much, there's not many we can adopt, is it? You're doing a pretty good job with that, aren't you? All right, I appreciate it. But I agree with Debbie. You know, you sit there and you go across the river, and there's a lot of walkability down there. I'd really like to see it. I know that Chris is doing a lot with it. What this council does with supporting not just one area, but I mean, I'm talking about the Innovation Hub, I'm talking about Thea, I'm talking about the arts with Vince and the acting, and so we just go on and on. So we need to put something that says we use it more, bring it out in the open more, and more people coming. Karen Trevino did a great job the other night with Northern Lights. I think, say, we had around 3,000 people there, so I agree with you 100%. Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
Yeah, I still have a
Keep
whole
going.
lot.
You're on.
Okay, airport, 30,000. Now, you explained that was for the,
Yes, ma'am. 30,000. I want to bring back the air show. And is Clay here? Nobody read those emails you sent out, Diane? I guess not.
then they don't get any money.
Well, I would like to bring back the air show. That 30,000 goes towards this. And like I was saying before, you say, what does that take? Well, that B-17 that we might bring in, they don't just fly here free. We have to buy them gas, and we have to do some upfront money to get the people come in. Our air show would be looking at sometime, I think it's September, October, so that's what that money would go towards.
Okay, the next one is the Center for the Homeless. It went from 155,000 to 25,000. Can you tell us what we're doing with the
Jalen,
homeless?
where are you here? I saw you earlier, didn't you? Is Jalen here?
I can explain.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you,
that.
Amber. Yes.
So Amy and I reviewed the contracts and memorandum of understanding with the city of Little Rock. In the past, we've given that money to the Jericho Way Day Resource Center. We have no current obligation to do so, and with the institution of Jalen and our own unsheltered program, we wanted to keep that money here. The $25,000 that is in the budget is a request from River City Ministries. They requested funding for their dental program to be able to help more residents get their teeth and other dental problems fixed. So that's what the change we've made there. And if you remember, for the current year, we have money budgeted for Jalen out of the American Rescue Plan money, which is why we didn't put more for him right here.
That was my next question, the 130,000, was that going to go to the homeless? So we don't need that necessarily this year?
Right.
Or we could add it later if we see the need.
Right.
Okay, that's what I want. Then, let's see, McCain Boulevard, we've been putting money back for the medians on McCain.
We have been. Go
And
ahead,
we-
Amber, but
you know, we've been
as I said
encumbering-
the other day, I think we're a little short, so we'll probably come back. Go ahead, Amber.
We have 250,000 budgeted that normally we will roll that forward in January.
Okay.
The bid's gonna go out in December, hopefully open in January, so we get a better estimate, but we do know with inflation and everything, it is gonna cost us a little more.
And that's,
Yes, I see you back there. You still looking at putting it out for bid when?
Mid-December, for advertising and bid in mid-January.
That'll-
okay, and so with that, I would like to add another 100,000 to the budget for McCain. You know, each year we've been adding to this, and I know that we're probably, may even be short then, but maybe with, you know, 'cause it's between Ward 1 and Ward 4, so maybe with that, we can come up with, you know, if there's more money, then we can come up with some money, but with that money there, we're gonna need to add to that.
Hang on just a second. She's got the floor. Mr. Robinson, if you'll yield just for a second. Ms. Robinson?
Sure.
Go ahead, Ms. Robinson.
Okay, McCain, long as the money comes from Ward 4 and Ward 1, no problem. Not Ward 2, so.
We've been budgeting it in the special appropriations, the 250 that we're talking about, so I assume that's where you.
So if you're asking for an
Right.
extra 100,000 into the 200,
And
on,
to go with that,
to go on top of that 250, would it come from the general fund?
yes,
That's where.
Which would be coming from Ward 2,
Okay.
right.
so it would be.
It would be
I
coming from
don't
some of
want
you.
anyone to hide that.
It would
It
come.
would be coming from the whole city fund.
Right.
Would be coming from the general fund, general revenues. We're not gonna take it out of your ward money and the
Oh, yeah.
sales tax funds.
But it
We're not
comes
gonna
from
do
the
But
that.
it comes from the
Which is their
general
base-
fund,
which is their
which is
base
for
money.
the whole
Whole
city.
city.
Yeah.
The whole city, which the whole city, McCain Boulevard, uses the whole city. That's just such a major thoroughfare that's looked so bad for so long that we've got to do something there to get that going. Okay, so that's one thing that I would like to add to the budget, is the 100,000 for McCain. And also, Mid-City from 13th to Pershing, you know, that's a major thoroughfare that we've been working on too. And I know that you said there is some funding for maintenance, but we really don't have anything in the Mid-City right now to maintain. So I didn't know if there was any funds in the budget as far as improvements
There is.
for Main Street?
So we've put 200,000 on page 9 in the account called Maintenance of Buildings and Grounds. And in that, there is about 70,000 that will go to the Argenta Downtown Council. And in that proposal, 37,000 is to plant, maintain, and water Mid-City.
Okay, so they will do the planning and that's included in that, okay?
We've talked to Chris on that, so
Okay,
yes.
just wanted to double check that one.
Okay.
All right.
Ms. Robinson?
I notice in the budget, wellness is mentioned for parks and recreation, and wellness is also mentioned for Fit to Live, you know, and money's, you know, appropriated for each. So could you explain to me, are we duplicating services, or is it different?
Do you know what page wellness is on in Parks and Rec?
No, I just
Okay.
remember going through the budget
Well,
and seeing that.
The wellness for Fit to Live, that covers our Weight Watchers program, when we do flu shots, our incentives for the employees to get their physicals, which, could lead to early detection and things like that. Wellness in the Parks Department. 49. It's a smaller amount there of 3,300 compared to the 50,000. So honestly, I'll need to look in to see what they're doing, but we shouldn't
Steve?
have any major duplication.
Steve, do you know what it's for in your budget?
That's a revenue account, actually.
Yeah.
So that's
That's
probably
money coming to us.
Yeah,
We're
that's
not
money we're
spending.
getting.
That's actually money coming
Yeah,
to
so
us.
that is not duplication.
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
revenue.
Yeah.
But I
Thank you.
can see exactly where it's coming from.
Okay.
Anyone else? Ms. Robinson? Ms. Ross, I'm sorry.
Okay, the question on the art center that we've contributed in the past, the 40,000, is going to 100,000. So that's 60,000
Where are we at?
additional to the, page 10, on the art center under
Page
special.
9. Page 9 again, correct, Ms.
10.
Amber?
10,
Okay.
under special appropriations.
She's asking about the additional 100,000 to the Art Center in Little Rock.
Additional 60,000.
And that is a one-time request with them opening their new facility and all the improvements they've done to that facility, and being a regional facility, they requested that additional funds. So that's why we put that one-time
Okay, and so
request in there.
this is something that I've asked in the past too. If we're going to give them these additional funds, I want to make sure that our North Little Rock residents are represented. I know if they're going to do more schools for events or whatever, so before that money's released, we need to have something from them showing how that's going to benefit North Little Rock students, rather than just give them the 60,000 and say, here, go with it.
And they are required to turn in a report that details all of those every year that we give them money. Those go to the Commerce Department, but I can get copies of those as well.
Well, but this is additional funds, and, we
Right.
were okay with the
Yeah.
other, but now if they're wanting additional 60,000, I want to know what that extra 60,000 is going to do other than their building.
Anything, let me go over here for a second, Mr. Height.
I don't know if this has been answered, or did I not ask it, or whatever, but has THEA, the appropriation to THEA, has that been lumped in with the Arts and Cultural Education Fund?
Yes, it is.
So one further question, so that does not necessarily mean that they'll get the same amount that they got last year, but the money that they request will come from that fund.
Right. Thea got 48,000 last year, and they're getting 70 this year. The Art
How
Center.
much?
70.
70,000.
70
The art-
to THEA?
Yes.
Okay.
The Art Center got 40 last year, they're gonna get 100.
Okay.
And that's where the 170 comes from.
All right. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson?
I know under special appropriations, where we give monies to various groups. And I guess my question is, these groups that we give money to on a yearly basis, do they still submit their reports to Commerce?
They do.
They do.
They do? Mm-hmm. Okay. When are those reports due? Are they due the beginning of our fiscal year, or when?
They send their application request at the beginning of the year, and then once we approve the funds, they send those reports with their compliance at the end of the year to show that they followed through with what they said they
With
were
our
gonna do.
guidelines.
So we're going to get those reports that you approved last year this
Pretty
pretty
soon, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes, Ms. Ross?
I guess one more thing, and I hadn't asked y'all this before, and I
Fine,
don't want to
you're
put you on the spot, but are there any big items that the departments ask for that we are not funding, that we did not have the money for? Or has everybody pretty much been funded what they asked for?
There was one item that wasn't an absolute necessity at the moment, that Street requested a grade all, but said they could wait one more year, and I told Patrick that we would evaluate how the sales tax comes in, and if it comes in ahead, we'll amend the budget mid-year and that'll be the first thing we put back in.
Okay,
But for the most part, the department's pretty much got what they wanted.
okay. And then the 5 million for the Justice Building, we've able to take that out of our sales tax, the increased sales tax, correct?
Right, we amended the 21 budget, that's on page 10, you'll see that in the amended column.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Mr. Baxter?
So, just like last year, when we sat around and talked about the budget, I brought up the necessity for us to ensure that our non-uniform pension plan was in good shape. And we went ahead last year and put some additional funds in that plan to get us in a little bit better shape. With the year that we've had this year, based on our revenue and the fact that we've looked at our expenditures and done well with our expenditures, I think that it's important that we add some additional funds to that plan to get us closer to being squared away with that plan. And the pension board has, in the last couple of years, they've asked the city to throw in some more funds, and they've also asked to adapt the pension plan a little bit to where you're eligible at 62 if you meet certain requirements. So I think that the city has responded well in that way. I think we continue to respond well by throwing some additional revenue to that plan, perhaps 0.5. But at the same time, I think it's important that the employees also recognize that it's important for that plan to be in good shape, and that they would also kick in a little bit. So my approach is going to be that the city do a half and that employees do a quarter. Ms. Embry, can you tell us how that gets us in a little bit better shape?
Sure. So right now, without going into really too much of the technical actuarial jargon, basically our unfunded liability on the pension plan, it would take about 20 years to pay that off. As a pension board, our goal has been to get to 15 years. Our auditors and our actuaries have kind of made comments on the city's pension plan is not funded where we think it needs to be, which is why we kind of made those extra contributions last year. So in looking at what an extra 0.5% on employee and a quarter of a percent for employers or employee,
versa, yeah.
I said that backwards,
Yes.
would do, instead of being about 19.43 years to be exact, we would be 17.57 years away from paying that off. So we would gain about 2 years catching up, getting to our goal of 15%. The cost to the total city would only be about $160,000. The cost to the employee would only, it would be minimal because it's pre-tax, you know, they wouldn't really see much. It would be a good year to go ahead and do this. We do have 2.5% raises built into the budget. That's larger than what we gave them last year. We also are not receiving any increases in our medical premiums. And on tonight's agenda, we have a premium pay that we're proposing to all of you. So it shouldn't be much of a hit, but to the employees, but again, at the end, it's still a bonus to them because it's increasing their pension.
How much total do we need to have to get to 15 years?
We would need to make contributions of about 5.3 million, and we're making 4.4. Right now, I don't quite have that. An additional 1% employer would get us to 16.88 years. So the employer contribution gets you a little farther than the employee contribution, because when an employee leaves, if they're not vested, we refund those, but it's also a little extra cost to the pension plan. So 0.5% of an employer contribution does not equal 0.5% of an employee contribution. So
Or
it's
did I
not-
hear you say 170,000 to get us to the 17 years? Is that what-
160.
160?
Yes, plus the cost to the employees, which would be minimal. So for the general fund, it's 63,000. I mean, this is across all city funds.
So is this something that just, I don't know, eludes us, or we have, I don't know.
We're doing our fiduciary responsibility of taking care of the pension plan and making sure we're maintaining our funding status. So, for instance, if everybody in the city retired today, we do not have enough money to pay everyone. That's what our unfunded liability is, basically. This gets us closer to that.
And unless I'm mistaken, that's not uncommon. I was looking at
Right.
looking at the state's education retirement fund. They're at 30% unfunded liability. So, and they're saying, we're doing better. You know, we're trying to get to 25%.
Right.
So it's not uncommon. And being at 20 isn't terrible. I mean, and getting to 15 is really good, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, nobody hardly has their
That was in the paper
pension
today.
fully funded.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, where the city is, excuse me just a sec, Mr. Ross, where the city is right now is we've dropped it from like right at 20% down to where the 17. I was in the paper today, as Mr. Hampton said, that the state is pushing 25 to 30%. Where we are as a city, we're in very, very good shape completely through. We did not raise their, as Mr. Baxter said, we did not raise their premiums this year for insurance, which is unbelievable. I cannot believe we got away with that, but that's very, very good. So this is a time we should look at it, and I'm thinking of Mr. Baxter's what he's saying. This is time we can bring that level down. Of course, I'm telling you right now, where you are right now as a city, where we are is really, really good. Ms. Ross?
No, I was going to say, I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer for the 160,000. If we have it, why not do it now?
Yes.
As long as it's not a major impact to the employees. And so, say an average median range employee, do you have an idea of kind of what that would cost them?
I don't off the top,
Okay,
but I
guess
mean,
I know, I was trying
it's
to do my
very,
head.
very small. I mean,
Because it's pre-tax dollars, that would bring it down so much that.
Right.
We can figure that if you need to,
Right.
though.
Okay.
But yeah, well,
Because
y'all, go
the
ahead.
airport cost for the city's 0.5% is $200.
Okay.
And they have 2 full-time employees, so
Okay.
and that's for a year, so it's very,
Theirs would
very,
only be a quarter, and that would be a half for the city, so.
yeah, so it's very small.
Well,
And then you take it over each pay period.
okay.
So basically $100 an employee over 26 periods.
Small.
Yeah, okay.
Well, but, I absolutely agree with Councilmember Baxter then. We need to do it now.
Questions?
Second.
No, not yet.
No. I was gonna.
Still got Mr. Hamilton.
I just want to ask, I'm the newbie, so I apologize, but y'all are going to have to school me a little bit here. There are some changes I wanted to make, and I've spoken to Ember about them, and she's like, yeah, you know, that shouldn't be an issue, and everything, and I don't expect for us to vote on this evening. I'm thinking that we'll get a revised one. Now, I have zero issue bringing up all these things I spoke to Ember about, but I guess legally speaking, do I need to make an amendment now?
No,
Or I
no,
simply?
no. Just bring it back.
So once it comes back revised, then we vote on that, and if we want amendments to that one that will be before us the next meeting, is when the amendments would be made. At that point, before we vote on that document.
What I would like to see now, that all, like, I think Ms. Ross has said, we need another 100,000 to go to McCain. There was another issue that came up, I forget who was, I've been writing them down, but I would expect
Sure.
those to go into the budget. Felicia, and I seen you, ma'am. I think everything's gonna go into a budget. We'll send out to y'all prior, just like Amy does, and we all see, and then at that time, you'll have it a week in advance. Yes, Ms. Ross?
I think in the past, we've done that as a proposed amendment, I guess, if we go ahead and put everything out
Start
now.
then.
That way we know what everybody's going to look at, rather than everybody making their individual amendments.
With
And
what
so-
y'all got tonight, I can see that whatever y'all have mentioned tonight, that we could have to you, well, Thanksgiving comes in, but I could have that to you the first of next week.
Sure, and I agree with Councilman Barros that, I apologize, did I cut you off?
Okay.
Okay, and that discussing it in this forum is really good. So I'd like to go very quickly down what I had asked for, which was that for Ozark Mission Project to go from 10,000 to 15,000. So, and then the assistance to food, they were at 20,000 for a few years and had asked for an increase to 35,000 last year. Special appropriations.
He's on 9 and 10.
9 and 10.
Yes.
5,000 extra to Ozark Mission Projects. The assistance to food, that's the food bank. They were at 20,000 for a long time. They had asked for an increase to 35,000. In this budget, we had gone back down to 20,000, and I said I wouldn't support that. I wanted it to stay at 35,000. Once we're at 35,000, I don't want to take away $15,000. Just last week, we handed out checks to food banks, and now we're going to cut 15. I didn't think that was appropriate, so I'd like for that to be in the revised budget. I appreciated the explanations I got on the multiple things, and so I just wanted to personally say thank you to Ember and to the mayor and to non-sort of kind of chief of staff, Mike Davis.
Well, y'all have worked hard, Amber, even Tracy and Mike, so we will go over these when we get through. You've got them pretty well written down, what we can go back over, make sure that it will go into the budget that's filed.
Right, and I will prepare you all a list of any changes that get made from this document that go into the resolution for the next meeting.
Let me get this straight again. Is it,
Mr. Hite, go ahead.
you want to bump up Ozark Mission to 15,
From 10 to 15, yes, sir.
and you want to bump up the food pantry appropriations to 35,000?
From 20 to 35.
20.
They were at 35 last year.
Yeah.
And we were decreasing them by 15. And so in the budget we were just the proposed budget, it was a decrease of 15,000.
There is, correct me if I'm wrong, is there 20 food pantries that were dumped, that were?
17, if I'm not mistaken.
How many?
17.
17.
Closer to 17, yeah.
So to give an even number, that'll be 34,000, rather 35 or whatever, so it'd come out, whatever.
1,000 apiece, something like that. Sounds reasonable to me.
Ms. Ross.
And, last year, when it's always been at, well, it was even lower than 20,000. At one time, there was none. But last year, due to COVID, is why we bumped it up to 35,000, and COVID's still around. People are still having a hard time, so I agree with Councilmember Hamilton on that one. So this is what and this doesn't have to be amended because it hasn't been filed, so.
No, it's just, we're going to redo this and send it back to you.
This is my take on tonight so far. Ozark Mission plus 5,000, food plus 15,000, Mccain Boulevard plus 100,000, pensions plus 160,000. Am I missing something?
Well, and that'll affect every department, but I will show you all any changes that are made.
Okay.
And there was one more request that I will make an adjustment for. The city clerk's office had asked about Laserfish software, and I gotten with IT about that. It's not in here, but there was a request to make sure it's in here, so we will make sure it's in here.
Amount?
Oh, 35,000.
What is that?
It's the filing system, the document management system.
I know that they've wanted a long time.
It's a more user-friendly for our you guys and for the public to be able to, it's, a lot of other cities use it. And so if you guys are sitting up at midnight and you want to look up some legislation, it's a quick way for you to do it.
Ms. Ross?
One more question. Yeah, our website, I know that it is, we came a long way with it, but we've still got a long ways to go with it. Is there any money in any of the different departments as far as upgrading our website? Is IT here?
Barbara here?
Oh, okay.
I believe
I
that
just-
that has moved to IT, and they're gonna take over the website from communications. Communications is still running the website, so that's in the communications budget.
But I know, websites are only good for a few years, and it's about time again, so just wondering on that.
She's
If
been
we-
doing a good job with the websites, but
Right.
again, it's one by one with her right now through every
Right.
department, so.
Okay.
There's John. John,
John Barber?
come on up.
He was back in the peanut gallery.
He was hiding until you called his name, so I said, come on.
Called him.
Question is, go ahead, Ms. Ross.
No, my question was, our website, it's, they age, and